There's a big storm moving in. We got to get home and get the horses fed. The skies have gotten really dark all the way around and the wind's picked up. That's going to be quite something, it looks like. Well, it hasn't started raining or snowing yet. In fact, the sun's just dropped behind the clouds there on the horizon. So I'm going to get out to the horses before that storm hits. But it's going to be quite something, that's for sure. There's still blue sky to the west, but everything above and over the mountains pretty dark. And they're predicting a storm. How much of a storm, I don't know. But we'll find out as it happens and when it's over. It's beautiful. Temperature's still pretty nice, but it's going to drop, I don't know, 10, 15 degrees by tomorrow morning, and it'll stay cold for the rest of the week. So we're just going to get out here and get these ponies fed. So they got something in their bellies. Here comes the boy. He's got bad feet, and so we're keeping him in the dry for the winter time. Yeah, buddy. And he's lost a lot of teeth as well. So we feed him twice a day, a mixture of senior, which is 14% protein, and then beet pulp. And then we give him hay as well. The name is Keen, 28 years old. He and his half-sister Hala, the other Arabian, are our $1 horses. We bought them both for $1 when they were 12 and 13 from a friend of ours who could no longer keep them. And they've just been amazing. They're both highly trained and Arabians, and they're just really wonderful horses. So I'm just filling up his bucket now to put more of his supplement in there, and it soaks overnight, so it's nice and soft in the morning for him, and we'll be good to go. So that's just some of the hay we have stored. It'll take us through to July of next year. We've got this, and then we've got it stored in a couple other places as well. There's the boy. What a great guy. So I was thinking about this thing that I was talking about the other day about judgments and how it relates to communication. And I had an interesting experience today. We were looking for a newer vehicle, and I went down to Provo, which is about 45 minutes from here, to see this 2010 Armada. It was right within the price range that we wanted, had all the features we wanted, and it was a really good price and low mileage. And I misunderstood what the guy was telling me, who owned the car lot. And as I was talking to our banker, because we'd already been pre-approved, he said that the gal who had been in the night before had a check in hand from her bank and was coming. And she had seen it the night before, and I'm filling out the papers to send to our banker. And being pre-approved, I didn't think that was going to be a problem. Anyway, it turned out that she was going to buy it because, hey little girl, hey little girl, there you go, huh? Hey sweetie. And that's Jessie there. This is the other Arabian I was talking about, Hala. Keen's half sibling. Hey, she's a sweetheart. She's the other horse we bought for $1 each. What a deal. Anyway, I'm going to go put this camera down and I'll finish my story. Oh boy, the mud. Okay, come on, girl. Nope. Don't go that way. Let me put this camera down And we'll get these ponies fed. Anyway, he had told me on the way down that this was a possibility, but he said she had to go apply for the loan. And we'd already been pre-approved for way more than what the vehicle was worth. And so it came as quite a bit of a surprise that he said she's on her way with the bank check, and so she was going to buy it. And I totally misunderstood what he was telling me as I was driving down. And I got a little huffy with him and stuff, and he said he was very clear about what he told me and what it was. And I said, well, I think there's some miscommunication here, and it's not just my fault. I said, I don't think you were clear. And I got a bit arrogant. And there you go, girl. It was disappointing because I really liked the salesman I was working with, and I liked this guy that owned the dealership. And I had to concede that I wasn't going to buy this. And I drove back to Salt Lake, disappointed obviously, because this was right up our alley. It couldn't have been nicer. And I'm really happy for this gal, because on the way down I said, well, if she ends up buying it, she was there first, and good for her, she'll have a great car. So I got back to Salt Lake and thinking about it on the way back, and I realized that I needed to apologize to this man for the way I spoke to him. I didn't yell at him or anything else, but I was definitely frustrated. And I didn't like the feeling that I had spoken to this man in a way that was not right. I'm gonna get the camera before I forget about it. And so I called him up and I spoke to the salesman I was working with, and I said, it's really important to me that he understand that I wanted to apologize for speaking to him in that way. And the salesman said, yeah, it's okay, it's okay. And I said, no, it's really important that he understand that I'm apologizing for the way I spoke to him. And he said, it's okay, not to worry. I said, no, I really want you to tell him that I apologize, that the way I spoke to him was not right, and I'm apologizing. So he said he would tell him and all that kind of stuff and whatnot. And I felt like we were leaving on good terms. And he called me an hour later and said, hey, I've got this vehicle. You might like to have it, you know. And, okay, here we go. Electric fence. And I said, yeah, send it up to me. It was a Range Rover, right price, right mileage, just a little bit short of what we wanted in terms of interior space. We were looking for something more like a Denali or Suburban, a Mazda, something like that. So anyway, they called me back with this Range Rover that was immaculate, perfect mileage, price, the whole bit. It wasn't quite right for us, but it was a chance to continue to mend that fence. And The reason I'm saying this story is because I had to call and apologize to this man. You know, it just wasn't right the way I spoke to him. I was embarrassed, I was ashamed, and I did not want to leave it in that way. And it was all about how I judged the situation, how I judged from, well, it was also about how the messages I got from my dad about not being good enough, I'll never get it right, came up in a heartbeat. Because that's what my dad taught me. So it was all about what my dad had taught me, about not being good enough, never getting it right, and that just fed into the whole thing, you know. Where's that boy? Where is that boy? There he is. Way too big in the frame. Because that's what my dad, yeah, that's what, yeah. Well, as you can tell, there's no snow on the ground. It did snow, but it was pretty warm, and it wasn't long after the snow stopped that everything melted, so it's still a pretty nice day, cooler, and everything's wet. Paddock's really muddy, but at least we don't have a foot of snow yet. In that last clip, I was talking about judgments and how it impacts my life. And maybe you could tell the frustration of trying to use the camera with this gimbal at the end. And I got really frustrated. And when I was young, my dad used to tell me that I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't good enough, I'll never amount to anything. And as I was getting frustrated, it was really interesting. I heard that voice come up, and finally I stopped filming. I just had to stop. I was so frustrated. And it really bothered me because I've known this behavior of mine most of my life, where there's a judgment and all of a sudden I'm just giving up, or I won't start something. Interestingly enough, today I was listening to this YouTube video, and I'll put a link in the description below. It's really interesting. And it talks about however we handle a situation either builds new positive neural pathways that help build us more confidence and everything else, or if we give up in frustration and allow those judgments to stand, we're going to build more negative, you might say, neural pathways that over time will build and become stronger and stronger. So it's harder not to listen to those judgments. And I thought that's really interesting, because it's either if I listen to them and walk away in frustration and judgment and negativity, I'm building a stronger neural pathway for that to happen again and again. But if I follow it through to a positive outcome, even if it's just a small increment of positivity, then I'm building that neural pathway to become more confident, to become stronger in my beliefs and in myself. And like I said, I'm going to put a link in the description below. It's really, really interesting to listen to. I think these judgments, especially because I think so many times when I judge, and maybe you too, I'm unconscious of it. And it's driving my behavior. And it's not the behavior that I want, but it's driving that behavior. So that was really interesting. And I've been thinking a lot about that since I heard that YouTube video, that woman speaking. And it was like, made such sense, because my behavior in the negative side of things is so strong. Because I've been doing this my whole life. I look back and I think, oh my gosh, I've done this so many times. No wonder I'm such a powerful person when it comes to negativity. And in denying who I am and what I want to do and what I want to create, even being hopeful that I could create it. And today, because this was yesterday when I was on that other part of the video, and today I've been practicing listening to where that judgment comes from and then saying, wait a minute, I'm feeling the negativity, I'm feeling unconfident. I'm going to continue this until that shifts, even if it's just a little bit. And it was amazing what happened. Now, that doesn't mean that I think that all my negativity is gone. I think this is probably a lifelong habit of building that strong, confident, positive neural pathway. But right now, that's what I'm going to be focused on. So I hope this might be of help to you. Like I said, I'll put that link down there, and I'd love to hear your comments when you listen to it, or your experience with, kind of the negative and positive aspects of how we talk to ourselves. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm just going to continue these kind of threads because I find that right now the exploration of myself internally and how my behaviors show up externally because of judgments and stuff is really important and absolutely fascinating. So that's it for now, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.